All right.
Good to go. All right. So, big fan of DayZ so far. Really enjoying every second of it. It's so unique, very sparse environments, and such a steep learning curve.
Yep.
And it's an alpha release right now. What's your schedule for moving forward with more releases?
Well, obviously, when it got really popular really fast, and it sort of slowed development down a lot. And it's hard to keep the spirit of an alpha when you're so focused on providing updates and making the service more stable. But I think probably we've got another couple of months going along as it is, as a sort of very early mod sort of alpha. But I think probably where it needs to go from there is following sort of a Minecraft model, try and produce something that's a bit more standalone, a bit more robust, easier, like one-click install with its own executable and stuff like that.
Very cool. So you said it's a standalone product. You're going to try to sell it instead of just a mod. Are you going to still be sticking with the ARMA II?
Well, I think that's where I'd like to see it go. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't speak for Bohemia Interactive with it, but I think that that's probably the best solution. Make something really easy for people to install. Follow the Minecraft sort of model of in terms of price points, stuff like that, and try and package it up so it's a lot tidier and people don't really have the same problems they do at the moment. It's kind of hard to install, and sometimes you can't get into a server, and so those are the sort of mod limitations. And if we can bridge those and actually get into the source and tidy it up a bit and package it,
very cool. So it's a notoriously difficult game. You have the clock right on the homepage saying the average survival time is extremely low. And you obviously relish in that. Do you have any plans for balance changes? Either making it easier for people to get into, or do you intend to keep it like dramatically steep?
Well, I think that the attraction of it is that risk versus reward. So I think we need to maintain that. That's really important. However, I think as we add in features that encourage players to play together more, that will probably curb some of the player killing that's going on, because at the moment there's not really a lot of options. Unless you know people in the real world, there's limited opportunities to team up. But I think that will change as the features round out and we get things like being able to group together. So you could choose, maybe you just want to be a lone wolf and go out and find a dog and go out and build your own cabin in the wilderness, or maybe you want to team up with a whole bunch of people and set up your own sort of commune, or maybe you want to group up and become a raiding party. So I think once we get those sort of features that can support that sort of meta gaming and stuff like that, then I think things will change a bit then. But I think actually getting in and making things easier on that, I think it's quite dangerous for us to do that. Throw everything all over.
Okay, that's good to hear. How have you been handling this explosion of popularity? I mean, it feels like just overnight I was seeing ARMA II on the top of Steam, and there's tons of press coming your way. How have you been enjoying it, and what's been unexpected about it?
Well, I guess part of the problem with it is that like when I was developing it as a mod, sort of pretty much not secret, but with really just getting a couple of other people's feedback, you can be very true to the design, and I think that's maybe where a lot of mods and even some games have come unstuck. So they make a whole bunch of promises, and what do they really get from all the hype? Nothing, really. And so by doing that sort of in secret in a closed environment, you're able to avoid sort of ego and a lot of intrusive factors of keeping the mod's direction and where you want to go with it. And I think now with all the interest and the popularity, it is a bit hard to keep that, because you obviously get a lot of people putting in good ideas and good feedback, but it's very easy to lose the direction. So that's one problem. And also, I guess the other problem is slowing the development of alpha when we should be putting features in. We're really just trying to improve stability and get the servers working and deal with more players. So that's a bit distracting, but I mean, it's a pretty good problem to have.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad problem, it just requires a bit of focus.
Why did you choose the ARMA II engine over the multitude of other potential?
Well, I guess I know it quite well.
Okay.
Having worked for Bohemia Interactive and having worked in it for quite a while. And also it's a really gritty, it's got a real grittiness and authenticity to it. Not necessarily realistic all the time, but definitely authentic. And I think that sort of adds, like really, DayZ is just adds sort of a layer on top of ARMA. That survival and and it takes maybe some of Arma's weaknesses and turns them into strengths. Like often when you play an ARMA II mission, the world can feel a bit barren and equal. Well, that's kind of what you want in a post-apocalyptic scenario. So it sort of turns around and turns some of those weaknesses into strengths.
That's very cool. And you talked before about that you try to create art, not just a game.
Big quote.
Why this general direction, and what other games have you seen that you think kind of take a similar approach? Like what games stand out to you?
I mean, I guess you know, the reason I still mod, like a lot of people don't mod when they get into the industry. And I don't know, because it's really fun. You can really explore and try just random crazy stuff and really be creative, and you don't have to worry about the same risks and balances and stuff that you do in a normal game. So that was where that sort of came from, and I really wanted to experiment with how to affect players' emotions, even some bad emotions, and that was, I guess, you know, why it sort of felt like a little bit like art rather than work. You know, I mean, there's been a lot of games, I think, that are quite inspiring like that. Like I remember Black and White. You know, I loved how it was just something really different, a really different approach taken. Yeah, you know, I mean, I think there's a lot of games that I've enjoyed the fear. Like I remember the original Silent Hill when I first played that. Maybe just because I was young, it really like terrified me. And I think that it is hard to pick some recently though, because it sort of felt like to me, some of the studios, you know, that I've been working for and working with, that things were getting a little bit stale. Like, and it's not really the studio's fault. It's just sort of because of the cost that's required to develop. You really need to minimize your risk. So there's not necessarily a lot of companies taking a lot of risk with their titles. So you know, maybe a few indie projects that are, it's sort of really about it.
Cool. What's your highlight of the show been so far? Have you seen a lot of the other games?
I haven't really had a chance to have a look around. Probably the thing I was always most excited about was XCOM, like, because I'm just a huge XCOM fan.
We just came from seeing that video demonstration. Actually.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just a bit nervous about it because, you know, I still have, you know, XCOM UFO Enemy Unknown installed on my computer. So, you know, after like 20 years of playing it, I still play it. So, you know, if there's two games that I would love to be remade, one is XCOM and one is like Elite. You know, so.
What was the second one?
Elite, you know, like Frontier, David Brabant's. Oh wow, if you haven't played that game, you've got to.
Okay.
It's like a legendary game. Those two games are just like the best games ever. But yeah, so that to me is the thing that I'm probably most excited about, because it seems like they've done it. You know?
Yeah. I thought it stayed true to form with what I saw today. So cool. Well, thank you very much for.
Awesome.